Can you please introduce yourself and describe what you do?
My name is Marina Abramović. I'm an artist, and I use different art forms to express my art. But the main art form is performance. But I also make transitory objects. I make photographs, video installations, and recently film. I was born in ex-Yugoslavia, and that's what I do.
Klaus Biesenbach said that there's never a moment that you're not performing. Do you think that's true?
I think Klaus Biesenbach exaggerates a lot. Because when I think really about somebody who really never performed, who always perform, will be Gilbert and George. But I really have the private moments when I'm out of, view of the public, which I'm in the old t-shirt with the holes, preferably really old, because I like to be comfortable, sitting in my countryside house and not answering any phone and just be myself. I need these kind of moments away from everybody and everything. But even in the front of people, it's not that I'm performing. I think that I'm not playing somebody else. I'm just me.
So do you think then that there's a line between you and the work?
I don't think so. It's really blurred. Maybe in the beginning of my career was a line, but then it's blurred completely. Because first of all, I always work from my experience. And then this experience, it's about me experience them. And then I try to translate that ideas into the work. And then I try to find the key that this experience become transcendental so that everybody can find himself inside that work and become universal. Because who cares about your own private life otherwise? And to find that kind of key, it's a really difficult job to do.
You're so rigorous with it, though. Even to the point that you've made a performance out of dying, and you're not dead yet, right? So you've already planned your funeral. Can you talk about that a bit?
I come from the culture which is Balkan culture and Slavic, and we are very much dramatic people. And, we always suffer for something, like at least if we don't suffer at the personal level, then you suffer for the universe in generally. But also the death is such a big part of our life and existence. Since I was a child, my grandmother would always prepare her clothes for the moment when she's going to die and the clothes she's going to be buried. And I remember this for more than 40 years. She will have different type of clothes as a fashion change. One day will be polka dots, then dark blue, then the beige was the big deal. Then after this, she went into some little stripes, and then she get into brown, and she lived 103. So in a way, she was always ready for that moment. And for me, thinking about that is the death is such a part of our life. Every single day I think about dying. Every day you're closer to your death. You just don't know when it's going to happen. And this transition, you have to be ready. And it's really important the way how to die. The three things I like to do: not to die, not to die angry, not to die in fear, and to die consciously. This is really what I like to achieve. And there was one funeral I went from the really friend I loved so much. It was Susan Sontag. It was in Paris, in Père Lachaise. And it was such a lousy, sad funeral. I don't know, something was wrong at this funeral. It was, after this I say, okay, I think that she didn't give really description or the right instruction how her funeral is going to be. I'm not going to do the same with me. So I went from Paris straight to my lawyer and make very clear instructions. And instructions are like this. I like to be 3 Marinas, the funeral of 3 Marinas. Of course, one is fake, and one is real and 2 is fake. And I want them to be buried in the different parts of the world where I live the longest: Belgrade, Amsterdam, New York. And nobody will know, that what's going to be the real one. And I also love that everybody is in happy colors, wearing everything not black. Black will be out, but vibrant green and red and electric yellow and so on. And they have to be celebration of life. And my biggest wish is to Anthony Johnson's or Anthony Haggerty or whatever he's called, he's changing his name all the time, who sing the I Did It My Way from Sex Sinatra, but in his way. He never agreed to this, but I think he'll be so sad when I die that probably he will do it.
I think what's so poignant about that for me is it sort of encapsulates what's so powerful about all of your work, that there is this really tight control on the experiment, on the performance, on what you're doing, but that you're not trying to control the viewer in any way. And of course, once you're gone, you can't control your audience. You won't know how it comes out.
You know, the relation of the performer and audience, it's a long way to look in the past. If you look in the 70s, performance was very vibrant, the form of art. In the beginning, and the audience was sitting at the chairs and looking at the performer performing. And that in many ways didn't work for a long time, because first of all, if it's your friends and the performance is boring, they get so obsessed they can't leave because they feel self-conscious. And then, they maybe don't like it, but you give them in this position of no freedom. And sometimes performances was interesting, then you just sit there. But it was very important to me later on to change this attitude between the audience and the performer. So in the Artist is Present, I really create a situation where the performer was not, the audience was not seen as a group, but as individual, and performer was one-to-one. And then in 12 hours in Serpentine, I changed all the rules altogether. So the performer is there, but is also blend in with the public, and the public is actually having experience and performing. And now the latest performance I made called Generator in Sean Kelly Gallery is getting even more radical, because here, it's a commercial gallery, and you come something to see, or something to hear, or something to buy. You can't see because you're blindfolded. You can't hear because you have the headphones blocking the sound. And of course you can't buy because there's nothing to buy. So it's getting more and more radical. And I think that's very important personal experience of audience. And artists have to blend in or disappear.
There's so many myths that surround your work. You were just talking about the Serpentine piece, and it was interesting to me that there was all the noise about its relationship to Mary Ellen Carroll. Can you talk a bit about, maybe not even that in particular, or the controversy that judged up, but more how myth plays into meaning with your work?
Maybe more about what?
Myth. How myth plays in.
But myths are present in almost everywhere, in every works, in every gossips, in the newspapers, and things are truths and not truths. One of the favorite things in the past, there was this very famous Chris Burden piece called Transfix, where he actually crucified himself on Volkswagen with the golden nails. And I remember I was in that time living in ex-Yugoslavia, and the rumors came that he was crucified with the nails on Volkswagen, and then his friend was driving the Volkswagen in the streets of Los Angeles, and then they've been arrested, and so on and so on. And then many, many years later, when I really asked him about this piece, how it was, he said it was very simple. It was the three friends in the garage. He gets crucified with the golden nails on the backside of Volkswagen. They opened the door of the garage, they pushed the car outside, and they took the photographs. They pushed cars inside, took the nails, and that was it. And that's such a big story. It was circulating around this piece, and it was very different. And, people love to make myths and love to make the true stories untruths. And then also, performance is an immaterial form of art, and it's time-based art. So if you're not there, you actually really don't know what happened, because you only have the word of mouth and some photographs and some video. So you can always made up a different story. And that stories are not necessarily true. But, it's interesting how the myths are, making work of art, which actually nothing to do with work of art.
Do you think, because here I have to ask, but I was talking yesterday with an artist about, the Judith Butler, Amelia Jones debate. Do you think that an artist or that the audience has to be present in order to really experience the work, or do you think a documentation is enough?
No, for me, it's crucial for me to audiences present, because I will never do performance work without audience. There is only one actually work that I done without audience, but it was so much publicized that actually audience somehow was participating. It was walking the Great Wall of China, which I walked from the Yellow Sea, and my partner Ulay from the Gobi Desert. We walk in the middle and to say goodbye, and each of us walked 2,500 kilometers. Once the Willem Dafoe said to me, "But why you just could not make phone call and end the relationship?" It's a good idea. It never crossed my mind. I think I had to walk this wall to say goodbye. But the audience is very important, because the audience actually complete the work. It's an energetic dialogue, because the spectator and the performer, and you're giving message, and the message has to be seen and heard. And without this, I don't see the point. Working with the performance. It's another thing that artist, is working in seclusion of his studio, making the painting, and the painting go to hang on the wall, and the painting is the work, and artist doesn't need to be there to do anything. But if the performer is a subject and object of the work, then performance need audience.
Wait, that sort of naturally brings me to think about what you're trying to do with the institute that you're building, and that's a place for people to sort of learn how to perform, but learn how to connect as well.
Oh, institute is a big subject. So let's talk about the institute. First of all, as I'm obsessed with dying, I'm also obsessed about what you leave behind you. And physical goods, who cares about them? But if you leave behind a good idea, this good idea can have many lives. So in my case, I want to leave good idea of this institute, which is not foundation, because many artists make foundation about preserving their own work. In my case, institute is a much larger picture. It's a kind of marriage between art, science, and technology, and really is there to actually deal with the future and with the big picture of the future, where we are going now. From my point of view, technology absolutely robs us of our time. Technology was invented that human beings have more time, but actually we just get trapped and we are not having any time. So the idea is how we can claim the free time for ourselves, the free time for our own mental, spiritual development and changing consciousness, because we can only change the world if we change the consciousness about things as they are now. So this institute, has so many different purposes. One of the purpose is to deal different with the time. The second purpose is to learn the public how they can see something which is long durational, and to go over the boredom on themselves. And then the purpose, how they can, through that, actually change their own point of view on the world, and what they can do with that new point of the world. And I'm really thinking, for me, it will be incredibly important to take, as the institute is going to be built in Hudson with the Rem Koolhaas, the drawings, and the project is to be in Hudson, which is a small city outside of New York. But this small city have exactly the same problems like big city. There is a racism, there is a corruption, there is a bad things, good things, manipulation, just everything like any other city, but on the small scale. So if these citizens of that city are my first visitors of Institute and go through this kind of preparation of their consciousness, and if we can influence the change in them, we are creating big picture, we are creating kind of model of different society that can be applied to somewhere else. And this is such a big aim which I'm trying to achieve on the really small scale, because it's so easy to always criticize how things are not good around you. But what you can do personally and how you can change something in even like pioneering steps. So this is my proposal, the Institute for Long Durational Immaterials Form of Art, and also science and technology. But immaterial forms of art are everything, including opera and dance and film and video and performance and the theater, everything which is time-based. So when you arrive in the institute, first you have to sign the contract that you're going to stay 6 hours, and you give me word of honor. And of course, if you go earlier, you don't respect your word of honor. It's not my problem. But you give me 6 hours, in which one you leave your watch, you leave your computer, you leave all this belonging to reminds you of technology and time, and you gain 6 hours for your own self to experiment something different. And then you come with this experience that you see if you can use at least part of it in your own life, whatever you do, whatever kind of job you do in your life, from the cleaning of the street, or being farmer, or science fiction writer, or Bangladeshi housewife. You take this experience with you and see what can you do something with that.
Do you think this is do you read it as a performance piece?
What? Sorry?
Do you see it as a performance piece? Do you?
No, I see, I don't know, performance is such a large theme and it's included so much things, but also misunderstanding. No, I think it's more like a conditioning human being to see presence here and now in different way. So I really think that all what I'm trying to do now, even with serpentine work, I don't even know is art. I don't know what it is. I only know that we could not do this kind of stuff 10 years ago. And I know that now, because people are doing it, that we have enormous need of the personal experience on personal level, that we want to change something about ourselves, that we have to kind of get centered in some way, because we become consumer junkies. We are lost. And if we don't go back to really simplicity, things are going wrong.
Before the cameras started rolling, you said that technology sucks, but you cleverly used Kickstarter to raise the initial funds for the institute. Some staunch supporters of yours have been cross that you did this. Can you talk a little bit about?
I think that is the wrong way I maybe express myself, that the technology sucks, because technology is good. Technology is invented that human beings have time. It's our relation to technology who doesn't work, because we absolutely don't take that free time, because we're afraid of free time. We don't know what to do with the free time, and we're just kind of getting more and more trapped with more and more technology. And this is our own mistake, not mistake of technology. Kickstarter is a great tool and such a wonderful invention that you can, measure the participation of the large audience to see if they really like your idea and they like to support. And in 1 month, I had a huge support, more than, close to 5,000 people give the small donations, and anything between $1 to 50, 60, and the largest donations are 10,000. And to see that really this institute, they wanted to actually be built and to want them to be part of it. And it was really interesting rewards, because mostly when people do Kickstarters, they give lots of rewards like T-shirts, DVDs, whatever, all kinds of different tickets to the theater of the performances. But my rewards was very, very, immaterial. I will sit in the front of the television, of the screen, and look somebody in the eyes for 1 hour in New Zealand. Or I will, talk to the people on the phone, or I will hug them. I just hug for the reward in Kickstarter in New York, 600 people, and I hug 300 in London in the front of Serpentine. Just simple hug, really just kind of energy exchange. And this is for the smaller reward, but the highest reward of Kickstarter is $10,000. So for $10,000, the reward was you're not mentioned and you don't get anything at all. And this was kind of important lesson, to teach people to believe in the project and not because they wanted to have a recognition.
Recognition is a really interesting segue into you've been collaborating very strategically, it seems, with sort of bigger brands, whether it's Lady Gaga or the Adidas film. I think you're about to do something with James Franco. Can you talk a little bit about why you've started to engage in the world in that way, with the world in that way?
First of all, I didn't build strategy around this. It's just spontaneously things happen. I mean, Lady Gaga was the first thing. No, actually, James Franco. James Franco just came to me. He was at that time, in MIT student, and he came to me and told me that he studied my work and he'd like to know more, and we become friends. So just came in that way, and then he was inviting me to MIT to give a class, which I did. And really quite impressed by his personality. I'm so impressed by James Franco, this enormous need to do everything without having always great results. He's more interested in process and experimenting things, and without always have really recognition, and almost, kill himself with this kind of stuff. But I love that. I hate people who do always the same thing over and over and again and never explore the new territories. And, if you want to explore new territories, you have to think of failures. And he failed so many times, and he just go on and do it again and again and again. And that kind of amount of energy and curiosity he explored is very fascinating for me.
Well, it's a lot like you.
Yeah, because that's I see similarity, and I really like that you just go for it and see what is on the other side. How we can know what is the other side if you didn't make the journey? We have to make this journey. And Lady Gaga came to my performance in the. I never met her before, to see Artist is Present. She never sit in the front of me, but because she was there, every Twitter, the kids tweet around, and then hundreds of young kids came, any age from 14, 16, 15, to see the Lady Gaga. And then Lady Gaga left. And these kids stay as my public and increase the number of visitors. It was like a gift for me, because I need to reach everybody. I don't want my public anymore is not just artist public. My public is much larger than art public. And then, the year later, after the performance is present, she called my office and asked if I can give her my Clean the House course, which I give to my performance, students. And was teaching more than 25 years. And she came to my place very humble, and she said she would like to do that for 5 days. And she was a great student. And then, of course, everything was on the web. And she had 45 million, the followers. They all start, looking to the website. What is the Abramovic method? What is the institute? What is this all about? And became my followers. So I think this is really something that for me is wonderful, because I really like to teach and to learn people, to give unconditional my knowledge to everybody who want to. So I have this large public now, and it's increasing more and more. And you come to my lecture, and you come wherever I'm doing things, my generation is very rarely there. And anyway, my generation depressed me completely. So it's always young people, and that's my new public, and I'm very grateful for that.
Why did your generation depress you?
First of all, they always think that daytime was the best ever. They don't trust that anything is happening new and great right now. And I don't know, they compromise themselves. They didn't, I don't compromise in my life much. And I'm always interested in new things. And then they're kind of old. They think old. They're not curious enough. They don't have, I'm 68. I'm in 2 years 70. I should be now in pension and doing nothing. And I work like hell. And the young generation give me sense of time and spirit of time that I can tap into it. And I can give them my experience. And it's wonderful change. And somehow old generation around me doesn't do the same. What I can do.
Let's talk a little bit about the work, your work specifically. You've spent a lifetime pushing yourself to the very, very limit of what's possible physically.
Just 40 years.
Just 40 years. So you think you just started when you were, 20?
I say 40, but it's more. Because my first show was when I was 12. I had the painting of my dreams, and I was so always jealous of Mozart, who started when he was 6. but what you can do. I start with 12.
What, and it was a painting?
Yeah, I paint. I was painting since I was born, and I paint the dreams because it was given to me. And later on, I done different things, and then I stopped painting in my 20s, and start working with the sound, installations, performance, and different media.
But you've never engaged with easy subjects. You've always pushed yourself. I read that car crashes inspired you when you began. You're famous for laying weapons out on a table or objects out on a table in front of you and allowing an audience to do whatever it is that they want to do to you. You've pushed and pushed and pushed. And you've talked a lot about your views on pain and self-inflicted pain, but I don't know that you've talked much about pleasure.
But the pleasure is on the other side, when you finish all that, this incredible deep satisfaction that you went through the hardship on the other side and learn from it. There is the pleasure. Because it's so easy to do things you like. You never change anything, and you never push into any other new territory. But when you go through this and you come to the other side, it's undescribable pleasure. That's something I live for.
And is that what propels you to keep making the work? That feeling at the end when you're finished and it's over? And
no, it's what makes me make. First of all, I was very lucky to have very strong sense of mission. Why? I think that every human being should ask himself why he's here, what we are doing here, and so much people lose time in research and finding themselves. Somehow, I always want to do something that I can lift human spirit and change consciousness of myself and others. And that kind of incredible kind of motivation always bring me to something that I have to push new territories. Where you have to know, you have to go to unknown. Otherwise, you will never know. My favorite story is always the story of Columbus, who went to Del Hierro with the convicts sent from the Queen of Spain with him on the very small little boat to find a new way to bring spices from India. And in those days, our entire planet the scientist was thinking there's just the one plate that you can fall off. So can you imagine this last night having the dinner with his crew on this little island, El Hierro, going to completely unknown that you can actually fall from the planet Earth? I think that's incredible courage. And they did it. And they just, they found America. How? If they didn't make the journey, they will not find America. So that kind of journey is so interesting to me.
What do you think you're trying to find?
As I said, I'm always want to know what is the other side. And I think that human brain didn't change for 30,000 years. Technology is changing all the time. We can't follow anything. But human brain, we know only 30% what it is. We have so much to go deeper inside. We are universe, to find a way how we can use telepathy, how we can use extrasensory perception, how we can use all facilities that we actually don't doing it, because we become invalids of technology, because we don't even know how to count without using the computer. We have to go back to ourselves. And that's this universe that you have to research.
Do you think that there's anything else you could have done if you hadn't been an artist? Is there any other path you could have taken?
Astronaut, for sure. I am definitely interested in the different solar systems and galaxies and so on. That's absolutely, sky. This is, if I will do anything, if they just can accept me to go to any of the spaceship and go to out of our galaxy into unknown and never be returned, I will be one of the passengers.